Alright, hello. I don't make a lot of videos usually. My name is Andrew. I'm here. I did a lot of research on how to make worm bins, and I could not find anything that really worked to the point of producing many worms. There's a difference between a worm farmer and a worm keeper. If you want small amount of worms, you see these people with these tiny boxes stacked. No, that's not what I want. I want a huge worm bin. And so this is a worm bin that I've designed on my own, taking into account everything that I've researched, which is a lot of research, tireless research, and have not found anything that I agree with. I little things here and there, but there's always a flaw that I don't like. So here's my worm bin. I would say it's roughly 18 feet long by 3.5 feet wide. I had this built. This is a material called Kanya. It looks like bamboo, but it's not. It's actually stronger, I believe, than bamboo. Now, before I dive into this, let me talk about what the usual case is for a worm farmer. What they do is they use scraps from their kitchen and everything. And while that sounds like a good idea, it's not if you really want to do something on a large scale. And I'll tell you why. Because when you add vegetables, fruits, things like that, it attracts unwanted pests. So something on this scale, you're going to get a lot of nasty pests in here that are going to cause bad things. So let me tell you that I use browns. So I don't mix greens and browns to make compost, because if you do, your worms will die. And I use browns because while they do heat up slightly, they don't heat up a lot. If you use greens, they're going to cook to the point of killing all of your worms. So let's talk about the design of this and how I've become very successful in this. Come here. Go to this side here. Okay, so let's talk about aeration. Aeration, if you want your worms to be very big and multiply very quickly, you need good aeration. You have to have aeration. And that's the flaw that I found in many of the worm bins that I've found online, on YouTube, things of that nature, is they don't have good aeration. Now this right here, this is plastic mesh. Not metal mesh, but plastic mesh, for obvious reasons. And if it's not that obvious to you, then I'll explain. Metal mesh will rust, rot, and cause problems. Plastic mesh will stay there forever. What I basically did was just stapled it down here, and it stayed nicely. And as you can see right here, it's all spaced in the middle. All there is plastic mesh and this holding it in. There's nothing else there. Don't put cardboard. It's going to cause bad aeration. So when a gust of wind comes through here, it does go through the middle because it's very fluffy. Come here, show how springy and fluffy that is. And that's another reason why I use leaves, because of aeration. Okay, so number one, do not use kitchen scraps. It's gonna kill you. It's gonna make you have to start all over. Use browns in the compost science. Okay, do not use greens. You'll kill everything. So now we have these openings, which air can flow very nicely. Now, I had this built about a month and a half ago. I put a layer of a layer of leaves just to test it out about right here, and they ate it so quickly, and it just went down. The leaves went down quite fast. So I recently, a couple days ago, I had put a fresh covering of leaves on top. So that's why this stuff isn't broken down. But they chewed through this stuff so fast. I started out with a pound of worms months and months, about 9 months ago, and they multiplied to about 10 pounds. And the little bin which I put them in, and I'll show you that later, I had to transfer them into something bigger, so I had this made. All right, if you'll come closer. Now, this is the top layer. This is a fresh layer, so that's why it's not broken down. It's still pretty whole. But if we dig down, we're starting to see this stuff is broken down very good. Okay, Maria, come closer. This is all that good friable material, and we're starting to see here worms. That's a red wiggler, and they're just populated through this whole thing. Get a look at that nice friable black material. That was not like that about 4 weeks ago. That was all leaves just like this, and they broke through this stuff rather quickly. I'm trying to find worms, but they are in here, trust me, and there are a great deal of them. A lot of them, see, there's a worm right there. A lot of them they're spread out kind of far. There's a baby one. That one just hatched recently. There's cocoons in here. But this stuff is just beautiful material that you can use in your garden or your farm. This is on a very large scale, and they multiply very quickly. Here's a worm right here. Red wiggler. Now, sometimes I'll be gardening, and I will take earthworms, which are quite a bit bigger, and they actually burrow much further down. I'll take earthworms and throw them in here, but I haven't thrown enough in, so I doubt they'll multiply very much, because I don't know if you know this, but you cannot crossbreed worms. So in other words, a red wiggler cannot breed with a earthworm. It's just genetics will not let them. So they have to find their own material. I threw a few in there. I doubt they're going to multiply, but if they do, great. It's not going to harm the other worms. So let's come over here and look at the other side. The other side is, come in closer, please. You see how it's nice and wet? And it smells very earthy. Ooh, that's a nice red wiggler. Look at that one. That's a red wiggler right there. It's a big one. They don't get very big, but the ones that do, they do get big. So let's get in closer. Yeah, there's worms all throughout this thing. And as we dig down again, we see that nice friable material. And look, they didn't take long for them to break that down. I mean, 3 weeks or so, 2 weeks, something like that. And they broke it down so quickly. Like I said, I had to throw down another layer. And so this is quite a bit thicker, but they'll break through it rather fast. I don't like to put sticks and things. I like to keep the sticks out. But as you can see, these worms just completely ate through this stuff. And it's so big that they're still multiplying quite a bit. Let's go down. So at the bottom, I put this same plastic mesh. Look at that. Good friable black earthy material. See, look at the worm. Beautiful worm. Look at that worm. Look at that worm. They're all in there. Cocoons and everything. Trying to find a cocoon. Look, there's a baby worm. So at the bottom, I put a wire mesh, plastic wire mesh like this. And then also on top, I put cardboard. Now, it's very important that you put cardboard. Why? Because if you don't, a lot of that moisture is going to seep right through, and it's going to go to the bottom. And I already have that problem a little bit, and I'll explain that in a second. Now, I used to put cardboard at the top, but I found that it absorbs the moisture too quickly. So what I do now is I use the plastic, and as you can see, it's very moist, very wet. So what it does is it kind of waters itself. I water this every 4 to 5 days. I live in a very humid environment, so I don't need to water too terribly often. So yeah, at the bottom I put the wire mesh, the plastic mesh, and then I put the cardboard on top of it. I don't put cardboard on top, and obviously I don't put cardboard on the sides for aeration. This is a very durable little build, and it more than supports the weight of everything. Now, this is my old worm bin, which served its purpose. I put a pound, about maybe 2 pounds, because I multiplied them. Put 2 pounds in here, and they took off so quick I just couldn't keep up with the amount of food they were eating. So I went ahead and made this bin after doing much research, and to my disliking, a lot of things just weren't panning out. I mean, the designs were flawed. Now, there's one flaw in this design that I'm going to point out now. Right here, if you look, you get a close-up on that. That's worm juice. Can you get it closer? That's good harvestable worm juice. Now, I do have a problem with slight leakage when I water it. I'm thinking about putting a plastic sheet like this, but all the way across at a slight slope, and then at the end a bucket or something to collect for when I water. If you guys have any better ideas, give me a comment below. But if you want to be a real worm farmer, if you want to do it right, this is the way to go. They love this bin. I've never seen a bin like this online. So if you want to do it right, use this design. We have it off the ground here. You see these braces. Nice, good, sturdy braces. Keep it off the ground. I have no problems with any pest because I use browns. I don't use food. Do not use food. If you want to do that, keep a separate worm bin just to have for your food and things. But if you really want to be a worm farmer and not a worm casual keeper with those little boxes like people do, which are nice on a small scale, but if you want a big worm farm and you want to do it right, this is your way to go. So I want to say thanks for watching to all my friends. I want to shout out to California, Sacramento. To California is my home and I miss it. But anyways, all you Californians watching, I love you. And another thing, these red wigglers come from California. But anyways, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or any suggestions, like I said, comment below, tell me what you think, and maybe we can even make this better. All right, thanks for watching.